I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Do you have any witnesses in support of the bill,
Yes.
Mr. Sajian?
Cliff Costa on behalf of the California New Car Dealers Association. This bill creates a bright line for dealers to comply with export policies issued by manufacturers. And with that, I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you. Any other members of the public in support of the bill? Any members of the public in opposition to the bill?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members. Ivan Altamura with Capital Advocacy. On behalf of Global Automakers, we are in opposition to the bill. In 2013, Global Automakers with the California New Car Dealers Association negotiated a bill that passed into law that's been in effect for 1 year that essentially gave dealers protection against arbitrary automaker actions in regards to vehicles that were exported. The current law, we believe, is a balanced approach that provides a rebuttable presumption that a dealer did not know when they sold the vehicle that it was being sold to someone who was going to export it overseas. We believe that the burden in the current law, the burden is on the automakers to prove that either through an exporter list or other pattern evidence that the dealer should have known, or the dealer knew or should have known, that the sale occurred and was going to someone, was being sold to someone who was going to export the vehicle overseas. AB 1178 removes the rebuttable presumption that is currently in law and basically puts in place a system where just by collecting sales tax and just by registering the vehicle, the sale is presumed to be valid with no rebuttable presumption. So any bad actor that wants to turn their head to the idea that somebody could be buying a vehicle from them that is going to export it, that gives the automakers no chance to rebut that sale with facts and evidence that would suggest that sale needed to be looked at, taken a second look at to see whether or not it was actually sold to an individual who was going to export it overseas. We believe that this legislation is unnecessary under current law.
I'm going to ask you to wrap up with one sentence.
I just respectfully ask that you would oppose the bill based on current law.
Thank you. With that, any other members of the public who would like to testify in opposition to the bill? Any questions of the committee of the author? Seeing none. Mr. Sajian, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is all about free enterprise. If, as we heard from opposition, if that's the case, they should have absolutely no problem with this bill. Thank you. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. We have a motion from Ms. Melendez and a second from Ms. Baker. Thank you, Mr. Sajian. I'll be supporting your bill today. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian.
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Baker. Baker, aye. Bloom. Bloom, aye. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Chu. Chu, aye. Daly. Daly, aye. Dodd. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Kim. Kim, aye. Linder. Linder, aye. Medina. Medina, aye. Melendez. Melendez, aye. Nazarian.
Why is here? I'll do it right now.
O'Donnell.
Before I pass it out.
Nazarian, aye. O'Donnell. O'Donnell, aye.
That bill is out 15-0. We'll leave the roll open for absent members. Mr. Sajian, I'm going to pass the gavel over, but first I'd like to really thank Mr. Santiago for filling in today, and I know he had a busy day with other committees, but thank you for your filling the void today. So with that, I'll pass the gavel off to Mr. Sajian.
Yep. Excuse me.
You may proceed, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members. ACA 4 amends the California Constitution to lower the vote requirements from 2/3 to 55% for approval of a special tax that would provide funding for local transportation projects. Voters in 19 counties throughout California have voted to impose special taxes for local transportation projects in their counties. Collectively, these counties generate about $3 billion and $4 billion annually. Money that is used for transportation projects as identified and prioritized by each county and ratified by the voters. These self-help counties have consistently provided reliable and stable funding for transportation, funding that far outstrips state and federal funding on an annual basis. Despite the success of these self-help counties, a 2/3 voter approval threshold is a near impossible hurdle for other counties that are aspiring to be self-help counties. As a result, these counties are deprived of much-needed funding for transportation infrastructure, maintenance, and operations. Investing in our roads has always also provided significant economic benefits as far as the multiplier. For every billion we spend in transportation, it produces 21,000 jobs. ACA 4 is in a common sense measure that will help rebuild our roads while providing a significant economic benefit to our economy. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote. And with me, I have witnesses.
Witnesses, three of you, 2 minutes each, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt Robinson. I am subbing today for the Executive Director of the Solano Transportation Authority, Daryl Halls, who had to leave about 5 hours ago to get back to a meeting in his district. Anyway, Solano Transportation Authority is one of 12 aspiring counties. We're the only county in the Bay Area that does not currently have its own transportation sales tax at the local level. We've been out 3 times to get one of these things passed in our county. We've come really close. Twice we actually got more than 60% of the voter approval in the county. One time as much as 64%. So we barely missed it. We are looking at going out next go-around for a 5-year measure. Hopefully a scaled-back version of that will incentivize the voters in our county to come in. But this bill will be a significant step in helping us achieve that goal. We have approximately a $744 million funding gap as projected in the latest local streets and roads needs assessment. This bill would help move us closer to funding or finding our local solution to meeting our county's transportation needs. With that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Mr. Chairman and members, Delaney Hunter on behalf of the Ventura County Transportation Commission. We are a have-not. Matt and I are going to start a support group shortly for our clients. We have tried multiple times in Ventura County and can't get close enough. If you've been to Ventura, we have lots of needs. We don't have the money. We're struggling in matching state funds and federal funds. We think it's the fair question to ask voters, is 55 the right number? If voters don't think it's the right number, we'll keep trying at 2/3. But I think it's a fair question to ask voters if 55 is the right number. For those reasons, we ask for your support.
Joshua Shaw for the California Transit Association, City of Santa Monica, San Mateo County Transit District, and Caltrain, all in support.
And
Next
Mr. Chairman,
witness is
Dave
Naaman.
Ackerman, representing the Associated General Contractors, also in support.
Thank you. Next witness.
With the California Transportation Commission, I think the best testimony I could offer
Sir.
is the excerpt that's contained.
Sir, we already had 3 witnesses, 2 minutes each. Just your name and your position, please.
We support the measure and ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Other witnesses in support.
Kiana Buss, on behalf of the California State Association of Counties and also on behalf of the League of California Cities this evening as well, in support. Thank you.
Gus Corey on behalf of the San Mateo County Transportation Authority and Transportation Authority Marin in support.
Next witness.
Steve Wallach on behalf of the Alameda County Transportation Commission and the Napa County Transportation Planning Agency in support.
Next witness.
Angela Pontes on behalf of the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority in support.
Thank you. Other witnesses in support? Hurry up if yours.
Mike Carpenter on behalf of the California Asphalt Pavement Association in support.
Thank you. At this time, we'll make a reference to witnesses in opposition of this bill.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members, good evening. David Wolf with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. We're in support of the bill, and it's also worth noting that the...
Did you say you're in support?
In opposition to the bill.
No Indian giver.
there is God.
Wouldn't be the first time, members, I've made that mistake in a policy committee, but just wish it wasn't on this bill, because we are fervently opposed to this bill. And members, it's worth noting that I'm also speaking tonight in opposition on behalf of the California Taxpayers Association and the National Federation of Independent Business. I drew the short straw on that one. So it's worth noting, members, this does represent a direct attack on Proposition 13. And it's worth noting when we talk about special taxes, what kind of taxes we're talking about here. We're talking obviously about sales taxes, and we would also argue we're talking about personal taxes as well. And just as it regards personal taxes, I mean, these are very regressive. These taxes are included on property tax bills separate from Prop 13's 1% cap, and explains why we're 14th in combined state and local per capita property taxes in California. But it also applies to sales taxes, which are the highest in the nation. Some municipalities have rates at or near 10% in the state. And we just fear that, especially with the expansive list of projects listed here in ACA 4, that taxes are going to increase by billions of dollars annually, again, in a very, very regressive way. And in order to see what that kind of looks like, we only need to look at Proposition 39, which was approved by voters in 2000 and lowered the two-thirds vote for school facility bonds from two-thirds to 55%.
Would you summarize, please?
Yes, adding hundreds of millions of dollars to property tax bills. Members, I would just close very briefly just by mentioning that we question whether lowering the two-thirds vote is even needed. Orange County has approved 2 sales tax measures.
My apologies, your time is up.
Okay.
Next person, please.
Mr. Vice Chair, members, Jeremy Merz on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce. In opposition to ACA 4, we do commend the chair for taking leadership on trying to find funding mechanisms. We understand how critical California's transportation infrastructure is to the economy, both for moving goods and for moving people, employees, students. And we understand that the current funding methods are insufficient at this time. I think we've had extensive hearings on that, and certainly I think that's been well established. Our issue with this particular constitutional amendment is that it contains few parameters of how it can be set up at the local level, aside from where the funding must go. And in particular, we worry that it will allow for discriminatory taxes on certain industries, certain businesses, certain products. For the purposes of political expediency, we think the two-thirds threshold serves as a bulwark against the majority taxing the minority. We respect the point about the money for transportation creating projects and potentially jobs. We just don't think those jobs should come at the expense of an industry or an employer that would be victim of a targeted tax and may have to lay off workers or not hire. We would state that we have acknowledged that taxes should be broad-based, such as a broad-based sales tax. And if that were the case, that we would definitely reevaluate any constitutional amendment reducing the threshold. So with that, again, we appreciate the chair's effort to tackle the funding issue. We just don't think this particular mechanism is the way. And I urge a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Other witnesses in opposition? Seeing none, bring it back to my colleagues for questions and or comments. Seeing none, Mr. Chair, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. ACA 4 strictly provides an opportunity for people in their counties to make the decision whether they want to lower the threshold or not. It has nothing to do about imposing a threshold, but giving people the ability to make a decision on their own, whether this works for them or not. They still have the opportunity to turn this down. But by telling people that they can't have that right to be able to make a decision, we're treating them like children, and that shouldn't be. This is an opportunity. As a transportation commissioner, I have seen the benefits in leveraging state dollars and bond dollars to create a gap that the state cannot fulfill. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Motion was made by Mr. Bloom, seconded by Mr. Dodd. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
The motion is to be adopted. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian. Baker.
No.
Baker, no. Bloom.
Aye.
Bloom, I. Santiago? Santiago, I. Chu? Chu, I. Daly? Dodd? Dodd, I. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, I. Gomez? Gomez, I. Kim? Kim, no. Linder? Linder, no. Medina? Medina, I. Melendez? Melendez, no. Nazarian? Nazarian, I. O'Donnell? O'Donnell, I.
10 to 5, the bill is out. Thank you.
I'm sorry, 10 to 4.
10 to 4.
Okay, you ready?
Thank you, Mr. Asajian, for filling in while I presented. At this time, we are going to lift the call. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
On the consent calendar, the current vote is 8-0. Bloom? Bloom, I. Santiago? Santiago, I. Daly? Daly, I. Gomez? Gomez, I. Linder? Linder, I. Medina? Medina, I. Melendez? Melendez, I. Nazarian? Nazarian, I. The final vote is 16-0 on the consent calendar. File item 1, AB 24. The motion is due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 8-3. Ashajian? Ashajian, I. Baker? Baker, no. Daly? Daly, I. Gomez? Gomez, I. Kim? Kim, no. The final vote is 11-5. File item 2, AB 28. The motion is due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 12-0. Santiago? Santiago, I. Gomez? Gomez, I. Kim? Kim, I. Nazarian? Nazarian, I. That's out 16-0. File item 3, AB 61, was an author poll. File item 4, AB 82, the motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 11-1. Santiago? Santiago, I. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, I. Gomez? Gomez, I. The final vote is 14-1. File item 5, AB 192, the motion is due pass to appropriations. It's on the consent calendar. Final vote, 16-0. File item 6, AB 208. The motion is due pass. It's on the consent calendar. The final vote, 16-0. File item 7, AB 221. The motion is a due pass as amended to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Ashajian? Aye. Ashajian, I. Santiago? Aye. Santiago, I. Daly? Aye. Daly, I. Nazarian? Nazarian, I. O'Donnell? Aye. O'Donnell, I. 10, 14. The final vote is 14-2. File item 8, AB 338. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 6-4. Ashajian? No. Ashajian, no. Bloom? Aye. Bloom, I. Santiago? Aye. Santiago, I. Daly? Aye. Daly, I. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, I. Gomez? Aye. Gomez, I. The final vote is 11-5. That bill's out. File item 9, AB 397. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Santiago? Opposed. Santiago, no. Eduardo Garcia? No. Eduardo Garcia, no. Gomez? No. Gomez, no. 2, 5. You voted aye. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The final vote is 5 to 11. File item 10. Oh,
Wait.
Mr. Chair, can we ask for a reconsideration on this item?
Without objection, reconsideration is granted by unanimous consent.
File item 10, AB 516. The motion is due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 8 to 0. Ashajian?
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Santiago? Aye. Santiago, aye. Daly? Aye. Daly, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Yes. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez? Aye. Gomez, aye. Linder? Aye. Linder, aye. Nazarian? Aye. Nazarian, aye. O'Donnell? Aye. O'Donnell, aye. That final vote is 16 to 0. File item 11, AB 604. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 8 to 1. Ashajian?
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Santiago? Santiago, no. Daly?
Aye.
Daly, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Gomez? Linder? Aye. Linder, aye. Nazarian? Yes. No. Nazarian, no. 11 to 3. The final vote is 11 to 3. File item 12, AB 605. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 11 to 0. Ashajian?
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Daly? Daly, aye. Nazarian? Yes. Nazarian, aye. O'Donnell? O'Donnell, aye. 14, 15. The final vote is 16 to 0. File item 13, AB 620, was an author poll. File item 14, AB 652. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 6 to 0. Ashajian? Ashajian not voting. Baker? Baker not voting. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Daly? Daly, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez? Gomez, aye. Kim? Linder? Linder not voting. Melendez not voting. O'Donnell? O'Donnell, aye. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 to 0. The vote is 11 to 0. That bill's out. File item 15, AB 678. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 15 to 0. Gomez. Gomez, aye. The final vote is 16-0. File item 16, AB 718. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Local Government Committee. The current vote is 11 to 1. Santiago? Aye. Santiago, aye. Daly? Aye. Daly, aye. Gomez? Aye. Gomez, aye. O'Donnell? Aye. O'Donnell, aye. The final vote is 16 to 0. Oh, I'm sorry, 16 to 1. Baker was a no. 15 to 1. I apologize. AB 718.
Oh, no, I'm voting on it. 16? File item 16?
File item 16, AB 718. O'Donnell not voting.
I'm an abstention as well on that.
I'd like to change my vote from aye to abstention.
That's why we have housekeeping right now.
Okay. Vote changes. Ashajian from aye to not voting. Daly from aye to not voting. And O'Donnell not voting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's 12. The final vote is 12 to 1. File item 17, AB 726. The motion is a due pass as amended. The current vote is 8 to 0. Ashajian? Aye. Ashajian, aye. Baker? Aye. Baker, aye. Santiago? Aye. Santiago, aye. Daly? Aye. Daly, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Aye. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez? Aye. Gomez, aye. Kim? Aye. Kim, aye. Linder? Aye. Linder, aye. The final vote is 16 to 0. That bill's out. File item 18, AB 786. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 6-1. Ashajian. Levine.
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Baker.
No.
Baker, no. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Daly. Daly, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Kim. Kim, no. Linder. Linder, not voting. And O'Donnell. O'Donnell, aye. That vote is 12-3. That bill's out. File item 18, AB 810, was due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. That bill's on consent. The final vote is 16-0. File item 20, AB 828, the motion is a due pass. The current vote is 9-0. Ashajian. Ashajian, aye. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Chu. Daly. Daly, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Nazarian. Nazarian not voting. O'Donnell. O'Donnell, aye. The final vote is 14-0. File item 21, AB 904. The motion is a due pass as amended to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 11-0. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Kim. Kim, no. Melendez. Melendez, no. Nazarian. Nazarian, aye. 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. The final vote is 14-2. File item 22, AB 914. The motion is a due pass as amended to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 11-0. Daly. Daly, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Kim. Nazarian. Nazarian, aye. O'Donnell. O'Donnell, aye. 5, 10. Final vote is 15-0. File item 23, AB 946. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 11-0. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Kim. Kim, aye. Melendez. Melendez, aye. The final vote is 15-0. File item 24, AB 995. The motion is a due pass as amended to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 6-0. Ashajian. Ashajian, aye. Baker. Baker, aye. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Daly. Daly, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Kim. Kim, aye. Linder. Linder, aye. Medina. O'Donnell. O'Donnell, aye. The final vote is 15-0. File item 25, AB 1015, was a consent item. The motion was due pass. The final vote, 16-0. File item 26, AB 1096. The motion is a due pass as amended to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 9-0. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Kim. Kim, aye. Melendez. Melendez, aye. Nazarian. Yes. Nazarian, aye. Final vote is 15-0. File item 27, AB 1115, is an author poll. File item 28, AB 1151, Santiago, is on the consent calendar. The final vote, 16-0. File item 29, AB 1164. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 10-0. Ashajian. Ashajian, aye. Santiago. Santiago, aye. Daly. Daly, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Nazarian. Nazarian, aye. O'Donnell. O'Donnell, aye. The final vote is 16-0. File item 30, AB 1171. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 12-0. Santiago. Santiago, I. Gomez? Gomez, I. Kim? Kim, I. Nazarian? Nazarian, I. The final vote is 16-0. File item 31, AB 1176. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 11-1. Santiago. Santiago, I. Gomez? Gomez, I. Kim? Kim, I. Melendez? Melendez, I. The final vote is 15-1. File item 32, AB 1178. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 15-0. Gomez. AB 1178, Ashajian. Gomez, aye. The final vote is 16-0. File item 33, AB 1222. The motion is a due pass as amended to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 13-0. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Gomez? Gomez, aye. Kim? Kim, aye. The final vote is 16-0. File item 34, AB 1236. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 9-0. Frazier?
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Santiago? Chu? Chu, aye. Gomez? Gomez, aye. Kim? Kim, aye. Melendez? Melendez, aye. Nazarian? Nazarian not voting.
Call Mr. Santiago.
Santiago? Santiago, aye. Nazarian, aye. That bill's out, 16-0. File item 35, AB 1287. The motion is a due pass as amended to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 8-3. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Gomez? Gomez, aye. Kim? Kim, no. Nazarian? Nazarian not voting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The final vote is 10-4. File item 36, AB 1422. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. The current vote is 13-0. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Gomez? Kim? Oh, Gomez, aye. Kim? Kim, aye. The final vote is 16-0. File item 37, AB 1461. The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Committee on Elections and Redistricting. The current vote is 7-3. Ashajian? No. Ashajian, no. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Daly? Gomez? Gomez, aye. Linder? Linder, no. Nazarian? Nazarian, aye. 10. The vote is 10-5. File item 38, ACA 4. The motion is to be adopted. The current vote is 10-4. Ashajian?
Not voting to no.
Ashajian not voting. Daly?
To no.
Oh, not voting.
Sorry.
Ashajian, vote change, not voting to no.
I don't take anything personal.
The final vote is... Oh.
Hold the call for Mr. Daly to come in. So he's calling right now. Other members, thank you so much.